Joined by Tom Pelissero at the NFL Combine, talking a little Bears, and we were just saying that it's a different experience for the Bears because they have their head coach in Ben Johnson, they have their quarterback for now in Caleb Williams, and a later first-round pick. From the national perspective, what is the perspective of the Bears right now heading into this offseason?
Well, it was unbelievably impressive what they accomplished. I mean, they showed that they know how to win games. It wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always dominating, but I think that what was most impressive to me about what Ben did in year one was the situational football, the end of games, and closing things out. That's hard for any team to learn, but particularly one that's lost as much as the Bears have in recent years. And so year two now, it's all right. It's not just about finding a way to win. People are going to say that that's unsustainable, winning all those close games. On some level, that's true. What you can do in year two is get more of the pieces in place in terms of the players who really fit what you want to do. It's impossible to flip an entire roster in 1 year. I expect them to be aggressive in terms of player acquisition in this offseason. And I don't just mean going out and spending a ton of money, but really honing in on getting guys who are the right fits offensively and defensively for the way that they want to play and maybe get to that dominating type of place in 2026.
The one name that keeps surrounding the Bears is Maxx Crosby because they need an edge rusher, but it was like one report that said it was going to be a first-round pick with DJ Moore, and then it's like it's probably going to take more than one first-round pick to get an edge rusher like Maxx Crosby. What are you hearing about the asking price if the Raiders don't see him in Vegas next year?
Well, and the starting point is the Raiders have to actually be willing to deal him. I mean, if you put a price tag of multiple first-round picks on virtually any player in the NFL, you're setting such a high bar that you're almost not expecting it to be cleared. We heard John Spytek up here, the general manager, say he expects Max to be back, saying they text and talk all the time. I would say that's not the end of the Maxx Crosby story here. Certainly the Bears are one of the teams you would anticipate being on that list if, in fact, the Raiders take the posture that they're willing to move on from Max. I think we'll have answers on that over the next 7 to 10 days here. We'll see what direction it goes. But for a team that, again, is trying to take that next step forward, going to gain a veteran player, a veteran pass rusher, an impact position like Max, a culture changer type of guy, it's something you absolutely have to evaluate.
Yeah, we've been surprised to hear that Tyson Bagent has been in some trade talks as a undrafted free agent Division II quarterback to now getting calls about possibly wanting him. How is the quarterback draft class impacting the calls?
Sorry, you never know what a text is going to be.
Oh, no, I understand. That's the life you live. Just it's a down quarterback draft class, so how is that impacting all of the moves that teams are looking to see where they can find one of the best 32?
It's a great point, and depending how you look at it, there's 7 to 9 teams that we don't really have a clear idea what their starting quarterback plan is going to be. There's going to be a bunch of quarterbacks, and there are veteran quarterbacks available who, whether it's via trade or release, talking about Kirk Cousins, Tua, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, Justin Fields, and then obviously you've got some free agents available as well. But in terms of the guys with upside, the young quarterbacks, there's not that many out there, nor are there ever a whole lot of those young guys. Malik Willis is an exception to the rule, and Bears fans, I'm sure, saw him playing for the Packers and playing at a pretty good level where he's going to end up getting paid here in free agency. But failing that, you're really trying to find, all right, we may have to trade for somebody's backup and give him an opportunity here. Will Levis from the Titans is another guy in that category that maybe somebody could take a flyer on. Anthony Richardson here in Indianapolis. But Tyson Bagent, based on when he's gotten his opportunity, the level at which he's played, and knowing how much Ben Johnson values him, Ben Johnson would not tie himself or want to do a contract extension like he did last year with Bagent if he didn't think he had a really smart, capable, talented dude that if something were to happen to Caleb, he couldn't step in. What the Bears have to answer is, all right, now let's say something, God forbid, happens to Caleb. Do we have the resources to go get someone? In other words, all right, we trade Tyson Bagent and we get, call it whatever, a 4th-round draft pick. Well, now you're going to have to spend $5-10 million to get a backup quarterback or use another draft pick to get a quarterback and hope he's as good as Tyson Bagent. Those are all the things that teams have to weigh. And we've seen it repeatedly in recent years here, just like the 49ers last year. You may have to play a stretch with your backup quarterback, and there's only so many of those guys who are going to be able to win you games.
Yeah, we know that Ryan Poles is dealing with cap constraints really for the first time since he's been general manager of the Bears, and that might affect what they're able to do in free agency. But when you look at the free agent class, knowing that Trey Hendrickson is the big edge rusher that could possibly be a fit with the Bears, do you see that as a good fit if they're able to find the money to pay him?
Well, Trey's the one, and we'll find out by Tuesday if they tag him in Cincinnati. They could still end up holding on to him. He's the one of all the edge rushers that potentially could be available that you would think would have a really strong market, and it's going to be expensive. And so those are all things you weigh out too. I know that everybody gets excited, and rightfully so. It's been a while for the Bears since you're talking about winning playoff games, but there is a balance between, hey, we're going all in right now, and we're going to trade for guys or sign players who, Trey's got good football left, but he's 31, 32 years old at this point. If you leverage yourself in terms of using trade assets or cap assets on older players, it can hamstring some things you want to do, because if you're Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson, you're hoping you're drafting well enough in the coming years that you're paying your own guys as opposed to going out into the marketplace, and so you have to be able to strike that balance.
Yeah, we know they had the best rookie draft class last year, and they are hoping they're having to pay a quarterback in a couple of years. Tom Pelissero, we appreciate your time.
You got it, Cassie.